I met him on a winter morning, the kind where the fog wraps around your skin like a secret. He was standing in the library, fingers dancing over books like he was searching for something he didn't even know he'd lost. Our eyes met over a stack of poetry, and he smiled the kind of smile that feels like warmth in your ribs. That day, something began. Something soft, something slow, something I thought would stay. He said my laugh sounded like freedom. I said his eyes looked like places I wanted to live in. We spent evenings chasing sunsets from rooftops, eating instant noodles from the same bowl, talking until our mouths were dry and our hearts were full. He remembered my coffee order better than I did. I memorized the curve of his jawline in lamplight. I thought that was love. Maybe it was. Maybe it was just the first layer of it. The nights we spent dreaming together, tangled in each other like pages of a story with no final chapter, I held on to those. I believed in them. In him. I thought if I just loved him hard enough, I could heal whatever haunted him. But love doesn't fix everything. Sometimes it drowns quietly in silence. He started coming home later. Smelling different. Smiling less. When I asked him what was wrong, he kissed my forehead and said, "Nothing, babe. Just tired." But his eyes stopped looking for mine in crowds. His voice grew cold, like it had forgotten how to call my name softly. I knew something was wrong. But I chose to believe him instead of the ache growing in my chest. Until the night he didn't come home. I waited. Hours. I texted. I called. Nothing. And then, at 3:12 a.m., a message, "Can we talk tomorrow?" Tomorrow came. He sat across from me on the same couch where we once planned our future and said, "I don't think I love you anymore." Just like that. No storm. No screaming. Just a deathly quiet confession, like the sound of your heartbeat stopping underwater. I didn't cry then. I didn't scream. I just sat there, staring at the man who used to write poetry on my arms, now reading the eulogy of us from his tired eyes. He didn't explain. He didn't fight for us. He just stood up, picked up the sweatshirt he left over the chair weeks ago, and walked out. Like he was never mine. I fell apart slowly. In grocery aisles. In bathrooms. In the middle of songs that used to make me smile. I stopped eating. My skin dulled. My voice disappeared. I didn't know how to be without him. I had built my world around a man who didn't think twice before burning it down. But pain, I learned, has a strange way of showing you the truth. I started writing again. Not for anyone else, just to scream silently into the pages. I went to therapy, where I cried more in 1 hour than I had in a year. I visited the sea. I screamed into waves. I let them take my anger, my shame, my grief. And I walked home a little lighter. I cut my hair. Got a job. Started walking every morning just to feel my feet on the ground. I learned how to cook for one. How to take myself to the movies. How to sleep on both sides of the bed. Slowly, I found her. The girl I used to be before him. And more than that, I found someone new. Someone who knew how to survive heartbreak and still open her heart again. Someone who didn't need saving. Someone who had scars, yes, but also strength. One day, he texted. Just a simple, "I've been thinking about you." And for the first time, my hands didn't tremble. My heart didn't race. I didn't feel that hollow ache. I just smiled. Because I didn't need his words anymore. I didn't need his presence. I didn't need closure. I was the closure. He left me. But I found myself. And I swear to God, that girl is worth everything I lost. Because what I lost was someone who stopped choosing me. What I gained was someone who finally chose herself. I remember standing in the shower one night, fully clothed, water running cold, sobbing so hard I couldn't breathe. I had nothing left in me. My mother knocked on the door. I didn't answer. Not because I didn't hear, but because I didn't know how to say, I don't want to exist like this anymore. But even then, something in me, maybe just a whisper, said, don't go. So I stayed. I stayed for the girl who used to laugh at her own jokes. I stayed for the girl who danced in the mirror. I stayed for the version of me that existed before he broke her. And with trembling hands, I picked her up from the floor. Every single day. I remember deleting our photos, one by one. My finger hovered over each image, my chest aching, tears falling. Not because I hated him, but because I loved who I was in those pictures. I looked so happy, so alive. I wanted to become her again. No, someone even better. And so, I stopped waiting for an apology that was never coming. I stopped staring at my phone at 2 a.m. I stopped romanticizing the ghost of a man who watched me unravel and didn't reach out his hand. Instead, I began writing poetry not about him, but about me. Lines that bled truth. Words that cracked me open and stitched me back together. I joined a local reading club. I found a girl who wore pain like lipstick, bold and proud, and we became friends. She taught me how to carry grief like art. I painted my room a new color. I bought new sheets. Little things. But they mattered. Because they didn't have memories attached. And one night, months later, I looked at the sky, really looked, and realized it was still beautiful. Despite everything. Despite him. Despite what he took. And then, something amazing happened. I began to feel joy again. Real joy. Not the fake kind you post on Instagram. The kind that bubbles up when you're laughing with a stranger over spilled coffee. The kind that makes you close your eyes when a song plays and just breathe. I no longer needed him to come back. Because I had come back. To myself. To life. Sometimes people ask me, do you still think about him? And I smile. Yes, I do. But not with longing. I think about the version of me who loved so fully she forgot to leave space for herself. I honor her. I thank her. Because she walked through hell with bare feet or no map. And she made it out. I think about how it feels to love someone and still lose them. And how it feels to lose yourself. And still find a way back. He left me. But the greatest thing I ever did was not letting that be the end of me. Because now, when I look in the mirror, I don't see a broken girl. I see a woman made of fire, poetry, salt water, and resilience. I see someone who survived. And I swear, I would go through that heartbreak 100 times over. Just to become her. Because the girl I am today. She didn't come easily. She was built out of silence. Out of midnight cries no one heard. Out of birthday candles that no longer made wishes. Out of long walks where I told myself, you're okay, even when I wasn't. Do you know what it feels like? To sleep with your phone under your pillow for months. Just in case he changes his mind? To wake up every morning with the ache of someone who's still alive but no longer yours? To stand in front of the mirror and whisper, what did I do wrong? Why wasn't I enough? Every day, I would scroll through old messages. Reread every I love you, hoping to find a clue, a hint, a sign that maybe I missed something, that maybe this was all a misunderstanding. But love doesn't vanish like that by accident. He chose to leave. He chose a life that didn't include me. And I was left with a silence so loud, it screamed in my bones. I remember the first time I walked into a place where we used to go, alone. The waiter looked around, like expecting him. I smiled and said, "It's just me today." It felt like breaking. But slowly, I began to reclaim those places, those songs, those dates on the calendar. His birthday passed. I didn't cry this time. I baked a cake for myself instead. Because I was still here. Still breathing. Still fighting. But don't think it was easy. There were nights I wished I could erase every memory. I even begged God once, out loud, to let me forget his voice. Because it haunted me. In songs. In dreams. In silence. There was a day. I sat on the floor for 6 hours, holding the hoodie he left behind. I didn't eat. I didn't speak. I just held on to the last thing that smelled like him. And I hated myself for it. But that's the thing about heartbreak. It doesn't ask for permission. It just stays until you are brave enough to look it in the eye and say, "Not anymore." One night, I did. I took that hoodie. I walked outside. And I burned it. It smelled like smoke and sorrow. But when the flames died, I felt lighter. Not healed, but ready. And healing didn't come all at once. It came in small, quiet victories. Like the first time I laughed without guilt. The first time I danced in my room again. The first time I looked in the mirror and didn't flinch. I started writing again, not about him, but about me. My pain. My becoming. My fire. People started saying, "You look different." I smiled and said, "I am." Because the truth is, he didn't just leave me. He freed me. He made space for me to meet the version of myself I never would have known if he'd stayed. The version who no longer begs to be loved. The version who is the love she was always searching for. And yet, some nights, even now, I sit by the window. And I remember the way he used to say my name like it was a prayer. I remember the softness. The beginning. The hope. And I cry. Not because I want him back. But because I loved someone with all my soul. And they walked away. And I survived. That kind of pain deserves to be honored. And so does the girl who rose from its ashes. So when people ask me, "Would you take him back if he came tomorrow?" I look them in the eyes and say, "No." Because I worked too hard to find myself in the wreckage he left behind. I bled. I broke. I burned. And I became her. And I swore I'd never forget what it took. Because to become her, I had to die 100 small deaths. The girl who once waited by the phone? She no longer lives here. The girl who softened herself to fit in the spaces he left behind? She was buried under poems she never got to read out loud. Now I speak in thunder. Now I walk like I own the ground I was once afraid to stand on. One evening, months later, I passed him. Not by chance, but fate, dressed like a test. He looked older. Not in years, but in spirit. Eyes dimmer. Shoulders heavier. Smile unsure. He said my name like a question. I answered like a woman who'd already closed the book. He asked if I was happy. I said, "I'm alive." And that word, alive, meant everything. Because there was a time I wasn't sure I'd make it here. I walked away. No looking back. Because queens don't return to ashes. They build castles from them. I didn't need revenge. My healing was revenge enough. Let me tell you what healing really looks like. It's not pretty. It's not aesthetic candles and ocean quotes on Instagram. Healing is ugly cries into your pillow. It's deleting the playlist you made together. It's throwing out your favorite sweater because it smells like memories. It's silence that hurts more than shouting ever could. But healing is also rebirth. It's laughing at jokes again, real ones, belly deep ones. It's waking up and not thinking about him first. It's meeting your own gaze in the mirror and not looking away. It's finally saying, I deserve more than what I settled for. And I did. I started traveling alone. Not to escape, but to discover. Cities that never knew his name felt like freedom. I danced barefoot in the rain in Lisbon. Sang on a rooftop in Istanbul. Wrote poetry in Paris cafes, my pain dripping like ink into coffee-stained pages. I wasn't running anymore. I was becoming. Do you know what it's like? To sit across from a man who sees you, truly sees you, and not compare him to your ghost? To let someone touch your heart without fearing they'll break it? It took time. But eventually, I opened my heart again. Not because I needed love, but because I deserved it, and this time, I knew the difference. One day, I found the letter I wrote him and never sent. I read it. Then I tore it up. He didn't deserve that version of me. The one who begged for love like it was a favor. That girl? She became a woman who knows. Love is not a prize to be earned. It's a garden you grow with the right hands. And my hands? They've planted universes since he left. Sometimes I wonder, does he regret it? Does he replay our laughter? Does he remember the night I held him when he broke down? The way I looked at him like he was my beginning and end? Maybe. Maybe not. But it doesn't matter. Because I stopped needing to matter to him. The day I mattered to myself. This is for every woman who ever felt discarded. For every girl who thought she wouldn't survive the leaving. You will. You will cry. You will ache. You will forget how to breathe. But one day, you will rise. You will dress yourself in your own name. And it will be enough. So if you're standing in the rubble right now, broken and breathless, please believe me when I say, the woman you will become on the other side of this pain. She is magnificent. She is wild. She is free. And she's waiting for you. She's standing in the fire, arms wide open, saying, come home. Not to him,